Keith out in mind and went, gosh, that looks like, sort of young, 30-year-old Ron Paul. But 89. Ron Paul was a great man, and I admired him greatly. Another person who I can't say enough good things about is Judge Napolitano. He is terrific. He and John Stossel and Tom Woods, are all just people that if every American would tune in to those people, listen to what they have to say, read Tom's books. They are the people who are the current leaders in the fight for liberty in America, and the young people, the YAL and the Students for Liberty, are the future. And at this point, I'm going to stop making introductory remarks or prepared remarks and answer questions for as much time as we have until my good friend Barry Hess comes up next. Yes, the lady in the maroon sweater.
I hesitate to ask this question because I believe very strongly in Ayn Rand. I really value her philosophy. Don't understand it totally, but I'm working on it. And I know that she would say that you must stand up for your rights and you must stick with your principles. So I hesitate to ask you this question, but I'm going to because it's on the mind of so many people. I wager that the vast majority of people in this room agree with what you are saying. But there is a great fear that, and I know you've heard this before, there is a great fear that if we cast our vote for the Libertarian candidate, that we may be electing the Democratic candidate, and we feel that most of the Democratic candidates are so much farther in the wrong direction that sometimes we are willing to settle for the least bad, if I may say it that way.
The lesser of many evils.
So, and I recognize that if we don't, at some point in time, if we don't vote our conscience, as Barry Goldwater would say, we'll never make a change. But can you talk a little bit about if we were to cast our vote for you, do you believe that it would give the election for U.S. Senate in Arizona to the Democrat, or not?
Good question. I have been asked it before, and by the way, Ayn Rand was one of the people who most strongly influenced my thinking when I was approximately the age of this young lady with the black hair here. You've probably read Ayn Rand, haven't you?
All of them.
Good! The three people that influenced my thinking when I was her age were Ayn Rand, Robert Heinlein, and H.L. Mencken. So that's where I came from. And I still admire each of those people as thinkers and writers. I do not believe, first of all, I do not believe that my votes will come primarily or exclusively at the expense of either the Republican or Democratic Party. What we have seen in the past is the contrary to what is widely perceived. Analysis of actual vote patterns in past elections around the country over the years have shown that, on balance, the majority of votes that Libertarian candidates get come from people who would otherwise simply not vote. They're like, I won't vote for either of those guys. I refuse to choose between the lesser of two evils. Among those who would have bothered to vote or could hold their nose and bring themselves to vote for one of the other candidates on the ballot, it varies widely where we draw from. It depends on the race, it depends on the issues, it depends on the year and the state and the issues of the day. The Democrats, believe it or not, from what I have been hearing, the Democrats dislike their candidate, Rodney Glassman. I really do know his name, though, just kidding. They dislike their candidate at least as much as the Republicans dislike McCain. I've had as many people tell me, I'm going to vote for you because I can't stand, I'm a Democrat, but I can't stand Glassman. Rodney Glassman got 34% of the vote in his primary. Now, there's a guy with a lot of support.
That's how Obama got in.
Excuse me?
That's how Obama got in.
What, 34%?
No, people didn't want to vote for McCain and they voted for Obama.
Well, that, actually, in all fairness to John McCain, whom I do not particularly like and admire, but in all fairness to John McCain, I sincerely believe that no Republican candidate could have won the presidency in 2008 between the unpopularity of George Bush, for justifiable reasons, and the stock market collapse in September. I don't think anybody, John McCain, Ron Paul, Mitt Romney, Mike Huckabee, nobody could have won under those circumstances. I don't think Obama won primarily because people didn't like McCain. I think Obama won primarily because people were terrified by what was happening in the economy, and they were very resentful of George Bush's complete abandonment of any pretense of being a limited government fiscal conservative. That's my take on it. Yes, gentleman there in the dark t-shirt.
My understanding of the Libertarian Party in general is that you are for less government and less regulations and rules, etc.
That's correct.
My feeling is that as society becomes more and more morally and ethically corrupt and turns more and more away from religious values, unfortunately we need more laws, rules, regulations in order to protect people from evil people. And so I see it as a necessary evil to have more rules and regulations. What is your response to that?
Did everybody hear his question? Good question, well thought out. That's an interesting philosophical question, but in the real world what almost always happens is that the, quote, evil people are the ones who wind up making and enforcing the rules because that's their nature. They are power seekers. They wish to control their fellow man. They want to dominate. They want to regulate. The people who are good people, however you define it, people who believe in individual responsibility in not committing theft and aggression against their fellow man, are by and large not the people who wind up in the positions of power. I'm not saying there's never been a good president. I'm not saying we don't have an occasional good congressman like Ron Paul. But the theory of, well, we need people, we need lots of laws, and we need rulers to protect us from evil, sounds good until you realize that the evil people usually wind up being the rulers. Next question. Lady in the back there. Yeah, we're halfway back.
My question is sort of connected to Joyce. I really admired Senator McCain for his service to this country. I couldn't have gone through what he did and come out with a noodle of a brain. But at the same time, I personally feel he threw the election to Barack Obama. He did not fight, and he would not go up against him, so to speak. But every time I bring that up, the argument I get back from people is, yes, but John McCain is on the Military Ways and Means Committee, and we really need him on that committee for our military. Can you address if that's true or not?
I can attempt to, since I do not possess reliable inside information. I don't want to put words in other people's mouths or interpret their thoughts without having the ability to document any opinions that I offer. But I will address both of those questions. Did John McCain, quote, throw the election, unquote? As I said 3 minutes ago, 4 minutes ago, I do not believe that any Republican candidate could have beaten Barack Obama. I think that somewhere between the time of his naming Sarah Palin as his running mate and Election Day, McCain and his inner circle looked at each other and said, we can't win this thing. Let's hoard the money for a future day. The fact that he did not spend something like $10 million of his presidential campaign money, much of which was spent against J.D. Hayworth in the recent primary, certainly lends credence to the idea that he wasn't, really in it to win. Does that mean that he threw the election in the sense that, a crooked athlete is paid to, drop the ball or take a dive in the boxing ring? I don't believe so. I can't prove it either way, but I don't believe he threw the election in the sense of intentionally sacrificing his chances to Obama. I think it was more of a realization that he wasn't going to win no matter what he did, and therefore he stopped trying and stopped spending money. That's the first half of your question, right? The second half about McCain being on the military committee.
Ways and Means.
Not the, are you talking about the Ways and Means Committee or the subcommittee on military?
No, the Ways and Means Committee as in relation to the military.
Okay. The Ways and Means Committee is the most powerful committee in Congress. Ways and Means means the way we're going to get it and where we're going to spend it, basically. That's the purse strings committee in Congress. And the argument's made, well, we need McCain there. And my counter-argument is, if he's a bad guy, if he's evil, why do you want somebody in a position of great power if they're evil? If you think that on balance they're going to do more harm than good in Congress, why elect somebody who can do a greater amount of harm than a freshman senator such as Passman or myself? McCain's not going to live forever. I'm surprised, not surprised, but I was a little surprised that John McCain chose to seek